So, welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome to our lecture series called Daily News in Shorts. In this lecture, cover a particular day's current affairs in a very short span of time within 30 minutes. The idea is very simple. We want you to cover your current affairs on a daily basis, but we don't want you to spend your entire day just reading the newspaper. Therefore, we'll be covering a particular day's current affairs every day within 30 minutes. Now, just watching this lecture would be job half done, because just after watching this lecture, you need to revise this lecture as well, because revision helps in consolidating these current affairs in your memory. Otherwise, you'll quickly forget them. Now, you can revise these current affairs from our notes, and these notes are available on our Telegram channel. The link to our Telegram channel is provided in the comment section below this video. You just have to click on that link. Apart from our Telegram channel, these notes are available on our website, jumbois.com, as well as these notes are available on our Android app. Okay, so do revise this lecture just after watching it. All right, now let's begin today's discussion, but first let's take a look at the list of topics that we are going to discuss today. Number one, inherited retinal diseases. There was this very good article in the Hindu newspaper which talked about visual impairment, and one particular set of diseases causes visual impairment, and there is promise in its treatment also. Okay, there is a new treatment protocol that has been discovered which can cure or treat inherited retinal diseases, which is a form of visual impairment. So we'll talk about them. Then we'll talk about National Critical Mineral Mission, which has been launched by Government of India. The thing is, critical minerals are those minerals which will be used in upcoming technologies, futuristic technologies like AI, electric cars, electric vehicles, solar panels, right? These things are going to be the objects of 21st century, the new age technologies. And to manufacture these new age technologies, you require some minerals, some elements that are called critical minerals. Now, very few countries have access to these critical minerals. That is why having a good supply of these critical minerals is very important for any country who wants to become a technological superpower. So, India has launched National Critical Minerals Mission. Then, recently, China created its own nuclear fusion reactor. And this nuclear fusion reactor sustained for quite some time. So there was a critical breakthrough in this nuclear fusion reactor. So we'll talk about nuclear fusion reactors, nuclear fusion energy, and China's East Nuclear Fusion Reactor. Then recently, Union Ministry of MSME, Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, has launched Team Initiative to boost productivity and sales of MSME enterprises. So we'll talk about this. And Pradhan Mantri Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana has completed 1 year. So this scheme of the government is very important. It will boost basically new and renewable energy in India. Plus, it will also help electricity become more affordable for 1 crore households in India. So we'll talk about this scheme as well. Okay, so these are the topics that we are going to discuss in today's lecture. Let's start the discussion, starting with topic number 1, which is inherited retinal diseases. The thing is that WHO, World Health Organization, says that around 2.2 billion people suffer from some form of vision impairment. Okay, the population of the world is 8 billion. 2 billion of them, that is around 25% of the people in the world, suffer from some form of vision impairment. Now, these vision impairments can be mild, but they can be serious. Like old people or senior citizens suffer from cataract. Then there is this disease called diabetic retinopathy, which impacts your retina. Then glaucoma. Then age-related macular degeneration, that also impacts your retina. And inherited retinal diseases. Now, basically, inherited retinal diseases is a subcategory of retinal diseases. Now, what are retinal diseases? Well, these are diseases which affect your eye's retina. Okay. Now, as you can see in this diagram, this is the lens from which this is the lens that is in your eye that helps you to see. This is your cornea, and this yellow thing at the end of your eyeball is retina. It is here where the image is formed. Okay, and then this image that is formed on the screen called retina gets communicated to your brain through optical nerve. Now, some people have problems in this retina where the image is formed. Whatever you see in the outside world is formed here in your retina. Some people have problems in this retina, and these people suffer from retinal diseases. Now, some of these retinal diseases are genetic, that's why we call them inherited retinal diseases. Some of them are not genetic. Now, recently, why this was in the news and why the Hindu newspaper covered it was because there is a particular type of therapy called RNA therapeutics, which has shown some promise in treating this disease. So, first, let's talk about retinal diseases. So, there are different types of retinal diseases. Okay, one are inherited retinal diseases. This is caused by genetic mutations in over 300 genes. So, basically, this is a genetic disorder. So, some of your genes become faulty, around 300 of your genes in your DNA become faulty, and you get this disease. Then there is this macular degeneration. Acute macular degeneration. It affects the central part of the retina, macula, leading to loss of central vision. Then there is diabetic retinopathy. This layer called retina receives blood from various blood vessels. But because there is high glucose level or high sugar in your blood, it damages this layer or the blood vessels around it because of diabetes. So diabetes affects your vision as well. This is known as diabetic retinopathy. Then there is retinoblastoma, a form of cancer that affects your retina. Mostly it affects children. And then there is retinal detachment. This layer at the end of your eyeball gets displaced from its normal position and you can't see. Okay, so these are the types of retinal diseases. Now, what is this RNA therapeutics? Okay, look, there are two types of therapies, genetic therapies. One is called DNA therapy, the other is called RNA therapy. Now, what is DNA? Basically, DNA is your genes. All information regarding your physical body is contained in these genes. Okay, what height you will have, what color would be your skin, or what would be the color of your skin, what would be the color of your eyes, what would be the quality of your hair. Everything is contained in this DNA. Okay, now if your DNA says that you will be a tall person, then for you to become a tall person, you need to produce specific types of proteins called growth hormone. Okay, now your DNA says that your body will produce a lot of growth hormone for you to be tall. Okay, your DNA says that. But how will this DNA communicate this information to your body to produce more growth hormone? Well, this communication will be done through RNA. So RNA is the messenger, DNA is the person who has all the information about your body. Okay, now if we can program this RNA in such a way that all the faulty genes in your DNA cannot communicate that fault to your body. So your DNA contains some faulty genes which say that your retina must be damaged. But if we somehow convince or if we somehow introduce other types of RNA molecules that won't or that would block this communication of information. Okay, if we introduce in your body some RNA molecules that would communicate that your retina will be fine. Okay, so we are hacking basically the message that has to be communicated by this DNA is hacked in between and the message has been tampered with, right, for your own body's good. Clear? So your DNA contains information, you have faulty genes, and it says that your retina must be damaged. But that information is not being communicated to the body. Instead, the information that is being communicated to the body is that you have normal retina. And that is done through by introducing normal retina, a normal RNA in your body. Okay, this is just one example. This is RNA based therapeutics. And the fundamental advantage of RNA therapeutics over DNA therapeutics is in DNA therapeutics, you change the genes. In RNA therapeutics, you don't have to change the genes and cause permanent change. You just provide this therapy and your retina stays proper. Okay. So recently, this therapy has shown some promise in treating inherited retinal disorders. Okay. Important for you was to know what inherited retinal disorders are. All right. Okay. Now let's move on to topic number 2, which is National Critical Minerals Mission. Now, first of all, you need to know what critical minerals are. So critical minerals are those minerals that will be used in the manufacture of critical technologies of the future. For example, electric cars, electric batteries, solar panels, the new age applications that are about to come and are still coming. These new objects, they require critical minerals for manufacture. Okay, they are made of critical minerals. Now the thing is, the country which has access to these critical minerals would be self-reliant as far as these objects are concerned. Okay, otherwise they'll have to be import dependent and dependent on some other country. One example of a critical mineral is lithium. Okay, as you all know that the world is shifting towards electric vehicles, electric cars, and these electric cars run on lithium ion batteries. Without lithium ion batteries, you cannot have electric cars. Okay, and to make lithium ion batteries, you need lithium. Clear? Now, if India wants to become a powerhouse as far as electric vehicles are concerned, then India should have access to lithium. Otherwise, India will be dependent on that country which has access to lithium. Okay, and India doesn't want that dependence, because in future, if relations between these two countries, India and that country which has lithium, they become bad or they are not good, then they would block supply of lithium to us and our industry would suffer. This is just one example. There are many critical minerals. Now, each country has identified its own list of critical minerals, okay, based on their requirements. India too has identified a list of critical minerals. India has identified 30 minerals and has called them critical. This includes lithium, cobalt, molybdenum, and many others. Clear? Now, the supply of these critical minerals is very important for India if India wants to become a technological powerhouse and self-dependent. Okay, self-reliant. Make sense? Now, most of these minerals are not available to India. Okay, India has to import them. But India is in the process of searching for mines where it can find these critical minerals and become self-reliant in producing these critical minerals. Otherwise, India will be import dependent. So we are exploring some mines in India where we can find these critical minerals. From there, we will extract these critical minerals and make these technologies like lithium ion batteries and whatnot. Clear? Now, to do all of that, India has launched National Critical Minerals Mission. Okay, so the Union Cabinet approved the National Critical Mineral Mission. India has identified 30 minerals as critical. The mission, entailing an expenditure of 16,300 crores, an anticipated investment of 18,000 crores from PSUs, government companies. So in total, government is expected to spend 30,300 crores on this mission. Okay, 16,000 crore would come from government's budget, 18,000 crore would come from public sector undertakings. Okay, now about the mission. So it is a strategic initiative designed to ensure India's self-reliance in critical mineral resources. It was announced in the previous budget of 2024-25 and it will be implemented by Ministry of Mines. The objective is very simple: secure the supply chain of these critical minerals. And you know what? There is a global race in the entire world between powerful countries to get access to critical minerals. Now, China knows that how important critical minerals are. Therefore, China, for the past many years, has already started searching for mines in Africa and getting licenses for those mines. So, China has bought many mines in Africa because Africa is rich in critical minerals. Therefore, China has secured its supply of these critical minerals. Therefore, India needs to step up. India needs to search for these mines globally and also domestically. So, secure India's supply chain for critical minerals, because India doesn't want to depend on China for critical minerals, right? Make sense? Now, key features of this mission. Well, government is going to provide financial incentives to miners who are going to explore and mine these minerals. Then India will also create a buffer stock or strategic reserve of these critical minerals, okay, for long-term security. Then India is going to boost domestic exploration. Plus, India is also going to promote Indian companies, Indian private companies, and Indian government companies to look for mines in Africa, Latin America, South America, other areas. Then India is going to fast track regulatory processes. That means to get a license for mining, you don't have to file in a lot of papers. All right, the regulatory processes related to getting a license will be fast tracked. Strategic global partnerships with different countries to get access to these mines. Government will create mineral processing infrastructure, because once you mine these minerals, you need to process them. Lithium comes in a rock. Now you need to process this rock to get lithium out of it. Okay, plus R&D and innovation. So all these steps would be taken care of in National Critical Minerals Mission. In fact, government through this mission is also going to create recycling infrastructure, because the lithium ion batteries already in use would be thrown away once they are not working, once they are at the end of their life cycle. So if India has a good recycling infrastructure, those thrown out lithium ion batteries could be recycled and lithium can be extracted from it to use in new batteries. You understand the point? So recycling infrastructure is also very important. Clear? All right. Let's move on to our third topic of the day, which is China East Nuclear Fusion Reactor. Now, an experimental nuclear fusion reactor in China last week triggered a lot of excitement by keeping its operational state maintained for more than 1000 seconds or 17 minutes. Now, the name of this Chinese reactor is Experimental Advanced Superconducting Tokamak East Reactor. Now, before you understand this news, you need to know a few things. Look, nuclear energy is of two types: nuclear fusion, nuclear fission. Now, currently, we produce electricity from nuclear energy using nuclear fission. The atomic bombs or nuclear bombs are also based off nuclear fission. What happens in nuclear fission is there is a very heavy atom, okay, very heavy nucleus of uranium that is broken down into two light atoms or nucleuses, and energy is produced. This is nuclear fission. But in nuclear fusion, what happens is two very light atoms like hydrogen atoms are combined and they create a heavy atom or nucleus, and a lot of energy is produced. Clear? Now, still now, we haven't perfected nuclear fusion technology to produce energy and use that energy to produce electricity. Current nuclear energy, electricity, or nuclear power is produced through fission. Okay? We humans have not perfected this nuclear fusion technology to make electricity, right? And that is why this experimental reactor is working, is under development. Many experimental reactors are under development which are trying to perfect this nuclear fusion technology, because fusion technology is better than fission technology. One more fact you need to know about fusion technology is that sun, our sun, solar system sun, and stars all over the universe get their energy from nuclear fusion. They produce their energy from nuclear fusion. Clear? Okay. Now, why is nuclear fusion so difficult? We have perfected nuclear fission, but not nuclear fusion. The thing is that these two light nucleuses or atoms, they combine only in an environment of plasma. Okay. Now, as you know, you must have studied in your school that there are three states of matter: solid, liquid, and gases, right? But actually, there are five states of matter. The fourth is plasma, and the fifth is Bose-Einstein condensate, which we'll talk about some other time. Okay. Now, what is plasma? Plasma is a gas which is very hot, so hot that electrons in the gaseous atoms escape. These electrons escape, and this gas becomes ionized. Okay. So let's suppose there is a gas called helium. Okay. Now, this helium gas becomes so hot that helium atoms relieve themselves of their electrons and they become positively charged. Okay. They become ionized. So plasma is a hot ionized gas. All right. Okay. Now, for a gas to become hot, to become plasma, it needs to reach at least temperatures, or it needs to reach the temperatures of 100 million degrees Celsius. Okay. Now, this is possible on stars. 100 million degrees Celsius is possible on stars. That is why we have plasma around sun, which is conducive for nuclear fusion reaction. But generating 100 million degrees Celsius of heat on Earth to make plasma is very difficult, right? But these experimental reactors have successfully created plasma, reached these temperatures, and this Chinese reactor maintained this state of plasma, this hot state, for 1000 seconds, for 17 minutes. Okay, that is why this record is important, because at least for these 17 minutes, nuclear fusion is possible because plasma is possible. All right, makes sense? Now, fusion reactors conduct nuclear fusion reactions in plasma confined by strong magnetic field. Now, this is a gas. This gas will escape. So, there is a strong magnetic field that contains this gas in one particular place, this plasma in one particular place. Okay. This technology is known as magnetic confinement. Okay. So, plasma is contained in this one particular place through magnetic confinement. This chamber is known as a tokamak, where this plasma is placed, and here nuclear fusion reactions can happen. Okay. By the way, apart from this China's East reactor, there is an international experiment conducted by many countries together for producing a nuclear fusion reactor. It is known as International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor. It is the world's largest fusion experiment involving 35 countries. India, US, China, EU are part of it. Location is in southern France. And the fuel, like I told you, two light nuclei, hydrogen plus hydrogen, would combine to produce helium. This is nuclear fusion. Now, hydrogen has various isotopes. Deuterium, tritium are its isotopes. They would be combined to produce helium or nuclear fusion and energy. This combination, this nuclear fusion reaction between deuterium and tritium happens on sun. Okay? Sun produces energy. Any which way. This is International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor. And with that, we move on to fourth topic of the day, which is team initiative. Okay. So, Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises has launched Trade Enablement and Marketing Initiative to boost digital commerce for MSMEs. Look, there are many MSMEs in India that produce good quality products, but these MSMEs do not have access to good markets. Okay, they are in remote areas of the country, and the local markets over there do not have good buyers or well-paying buyers. Now, that is the reason why these MSMEs stay MSMEs, they don't grow. One thing that they can do is to grow themselves is to put their products online, because with that they'll get access to the entire country and the world also. They can export also by putting their products online. Okay, this is known as e-commerce or digital commerce. So e-commerce can help these MSMEs sell their products anywhere. Okay, basically the world's market would be open to them through e-commerce. All right. The problem with e-commerce is that it currently is in a state of, or a market structure of, duopoly. What do we mean by duopoly? There are only two big players in the e-commerce market in India: Amazon, which is again a foreign company, and Flipkart, which was an Indian company, but now it is owned by an American company called Walmart. Okay. Now these two companies have a duopoly or monopoly. And most of the times they give access to their favorites. They have a monopoly of their own, right? Plus, India does not want to give that much power to foreign firms. That is why Indian government developed ONDC. As you can see over here, Open Network for Digital Commerce. Okay, this ONDC is like UPI. You know UPI, through which you use Google Pay, Bharat Pay, Phone Pay, right? So UPI is a architecture, payment architecture on which you build applications for paying seamlessly. Similarly, ONDC is a e-commerce architecture on which you can build applications. Anyone can build an application, okay, and use digital commerce. This is open. It is not confined by one particular company. This is open for use for everyone. Like UPI is open for use for everyone. Okay. Now, government created this ONDC so as to break the monopoly of Amazon and Flipkart and give access to MSMEs and any other seller in the world to use this ONDC to avail the benefits of e-commerce. Clear? Now, for this, government launched Team Initiative, under which government aims to enroll 5 lakh MSMEs on this ONDC to boost their sales. Clear? Now, this Team Initiative is part of another scheme already launched by Government of India called RAMP scheme, Raising and Accelerating MSME Productivity. Alright? So, about the initiative, it is a scheme designed to help MSMEs adopt digital commerce by leveraging ONDC. The total budget is this much, time period is this much, and the target is onboarding 5 lakh MSMEs on ONDC. Okay. Along with this, government is going to organize workshops along with National Small Industries Corporation, 150 plus workshops in tier 2, tier 3 cities, that means small cities, focusing on MSME clusters, women-led MSMEs and SC/ST-led businesses. Clear? Make sense? Now, about ONDC, I have explained to you what ONDC is. It is an initiative aimed at promoting open networks for all aspects of exchanging goods and services over digital electronic networks, basically digital or e-commerce. To break the current duopoly of Amazon and Flipkart, it was started in 2021 with the initial investment from Quality Council of India and Protein eGov Technologies. Okay, it is a private non-profit company established by DPIIT under Ministry of Commerce. Clear? These are the details about ONDC. But the basic idea about ONDC I just explained to you in the beginning of this topic. All right. And now let's move on to our last topic of the day, which is PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana. So nearly a year after the center launched 75,000 crore PM Surya Ghar scheme, 8.5 lakh households have already installed rooftop solar connections. Okay, so what was this Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana? It was a scheme that aimed to incentivize households to install solar panels on the roof of their houses. These solar panels, these rooftop solar panels would produce electricity. So these households would produce their own electricity. And if they'll produce surplus electricity, that is electricity more than their usage, then they can even sell this electricity, this surplus power, to local power discoms, power distribution companies. Okay. Now, what was the idea? The idea was that households should be able to produce their own electricity. All they have to do is install solar panels. This would reduce their electricity bill because they are not buying electricity from these power distribution companies. They are producing their own electricity. If they are producing surplus electricity, then they can earn money also. Clear? Makes sense? Plus, another thing that this Yojana does is it increases India's renewable energy ambitions. India wants to produce maximum electricity from renewable energy. This scheme helps in achieving that. Right? Now, how is the government incentivizing people to install solar panels at their rooftop? Well, government is providing at least 40% subsidy on these solar panels if you install this on your rooftop under this scheme. So more and more people, already 8.5 lakh households have enrolled under this scheme, availed this 40% subsidy and installed rooftop solar power plants over their houses. Okay. So it's just it has been just 1 year and 8.5 lakh households have already enrolled with this. Clear? So about the scheme, launched on Feb 15th, 2024, it is a centrally sponsored scheme, which means 60% of its funding or half the funding is coming from central government, some funding is coming from state government. A central sponsored scheme is the scheme in which the expenses are shared between center and states. A central sector scheme is that scheme in which the entire burden of expenses falls on central government. Okay, centrally sponsored, Generally, it is the case that central government bears 60% of the expenditure, 40% comes on state governments. Any which way, it will provide free electricity to households by subsidizing the installation of rooftop solar panels, implemented by Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. Total budgetary outlay is this much. Target is to cover 1 crore households by providing a subsidy on 40% of the cost of installation. Okay. Now, what are the benefits of this scheme? Well, normal households can get at least 300 units of free electricity from this per month. Okay. Households can save up to 18,000 annually on electricity bills. This would reduce electricity costs for and the government also. The scheme is expected to save the government 75,000 crore annually in electricity costs, because government produces a lot of electricity to provide to these households. Now, if these households are going to produce electricity on their own, this would save government a lot of money. Increase the share of renewable energy in India's energy mix to fight climate change, and will reduce carbon emissions and promote sustainable development. So this is a very good scheme launched by Government of India, and it has almost completed 1 year. And with that, we conclude today's session. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I'm sure it has added some value to your preparation. But it would add more value if you're regular with this lecture series and you revise every time you watch this lecture. All right? Okay. Now, on that note, I'll be signing off. Thank you so much, everyone.